18 aims to re-engineer mathematics instructional delivery, moving lessons from the whiteboard to a technology-based system that tracks student learning. Lastly, this bill creates the opportunity for increased student performance in the STAR test. Already, some schools have taken steps toward implementing alternative instructional delivery models for their mathematics curriculum. For example, some K through 8 campuses use a blended learning math curriculum software aligned to the TEKS that enables students to receive highly individualized, self-paced lessons. Teachers, in turn, receive real-time information to support struggling students with direct small group instruction. And Chairman Taylor, I think you've talked repeatedly about the ability to customize instruction through
Chan Zuckerberg.
The incorporation of this alternative instructional delivery model has yielded significant STAR improvements in participating campuses. Consider these examples. During 2011-2012, only 67% of students in South Houston passed the STAR Algebra 1 EOC. 1 year later, after using a blended curriculum like the one contemplated in this bill, the passage rate jumped to 80% in 1 year. Students in Elgin ISD, not far from Austin, saw double-digit gains through the implementation of this type of program. Closer to my district in Dallas, the incorporation of a blended learning program in the 4th grade math curriculum led to measured improvement. Although this type of program shows promise, many schools lack the resources, both financial and instructional, to incorporate these innovative instruction models. Senate Bill 1318 creates an incentive program to encourage schools to move in this direction. Specifically, the bill allows the Education Commissioner to designate, quote, math innovation zones within school districts. Students in the math innovation zones will receive highly individualized, self-paced mathematics lessons through a blended learning math curriculum software aligned to the TEKS. Schools designated within a math zone would be eligible to receive funding through a TEA grant or Pay for Success program to develop and implement the required instructional program. These grants would serve as an incentive for program adoption, assisting school districts and charter schools with complicated logistics, including technology deployment, instructional materials adoption, and teacher training. A school district or open enrollment charter school must apply for the math zone designated in order to receive funding. SB 1318 also authorizes the Education Commissioner to structure and approve Pay for Success programs to finance school implementation of math innovation zone requirements. A Pay for Success program allows private investors to provide financing for program implementation where the payments are dependent on achievement of measurable outcomes. And I have the best guy I could possibly find in the whole state.
Look at
TA
him.
Commissioner Mike Morath is here as a resource witness.
Commissioner, would you like to come up, please? I concur.
You may have set the bar slightly.
You don't mess around, do you? State your name and who you represent for the record, and we'll open it up for questions from the members.
My name is Mike Morath, Commissioner of the Texas Education Agency.
Members? Senator West.
And do you have the bill in front of you, Commissioner?
I was looking for the bill language, which I thought I had in front of me. Yes, right here. Yes, I got it.
Oh, all right, I'm on page 2 of the bill.
Okay.
Starting with line 4.
Yes, sir.
Take a look at that. Explain that section C.
Yeah, what that section does is it allows a temporary pause in the event to the accountability rating system interventions, not the rating itself, in the event that a campus is improvement required or in the new accountability system an F or a D because of mathematics. But they are in the process of implementing math innovation zones and are implementing at high levels of quality. The timer for interventions, it's sort of a 5-year timer, and then there's some fairly serious consequences. Mm-hmm. What this would do is it allow that timer to be paused for up to 2 years if they are implementing math innovation zones and the reason for their academic underachievement happened to be mathematics.
Okay, let me just ask you on line 7. Provided that the campus implements the instructional program with fidelity.
Yes, sir.
Is that, how do you determine fidelity?
What will happen, the way that this program is designed, we'll go out to sort of an RFQ for blended learning systems that exist, and for all the respondents, we'll essentially ask many questions, but 2 key questions. One is, do you have the ability to monitor program implementation when a campus or a classroom is implementing your system? And then two, do you have evidence that high quality implementation of your system, your monitoring metric, is correlated with achievement gains? And so the internal monitoring system, you can imagine a variety of ways a blended learning tool might do that, including the hours each student is online, like the total duration, the milestones that students are meeting, the participation of teachers and teacher training related to this. The idea is that there's a way of evaluating implementation, not a way of evaluating student outcomes, a way of evaluating program implementation. And the reason for that is you can imagine that a campus says, I'm doing X, I'm doing math innovation zones, but they don't really make it available to students. They don't implement at a high level of quality. And so what we would designate is a very well-defined rubric, very transparent process that you must achieve this level. If you achieve this level, and for some reason your students still haven't learned mathematics at a rapid pace, we'll pause for long enough for you to let the impacts of the program to be felt.
As it relates to blended learning tool, better define that for me.
Well, so there's a bunch of these systems that are out there. There's 3 vendors that come to mind that I've seen, I've actually sort of laid eyes on. But So imagine a classroom where you've got 20 or so students in the classroom, and each student is sitting in front of a computer terminal of sorts, and they're going through a math lesson with the computer terminal. The concept of blended is not that it's virtual instruction. There's still an adult teacher that's involved, and so a teacher, she might have an iPad or something, and she's tracking every individual student's progress. And you can have kids right next to each other that are slightly different levels. And so her laptop will indicate, okay, well, Mike and James and Maya are struggling with this little sub-content area in mathematics. And so the teacher then pulls those 3 kids aside, does a direct instruction lesson to those students in that, and then sends them back. And then the teacher then moves on to the next small group of students. So the idea of the blended learning application is it facilitates differentiated instruction as a tool so that a teacher can ensure that all students are learning every individual mathematics component, regardless of where they all are, and they can be in sort of slightly different areas.
Sounds like a Montessori. It sounds like some of them Montessori school just for mathematics.
Sort of, yeah.
Let me ask this question. The assumptions are being made that, and I know it has been an issue in the past, that teachers have received the necessary training to use the technology that they're being provided in these classrooms. Because I have seen in some instances where technology is in the classrooms, but they're just sitting there because the teachers have not had sufficient training to utilize it.
I would agree that is a flawed assumption to make. And that's the reason actually for this concept of implementation fidelity. If we can't evaluate that, it's more than just a sort of a box with a device on it. It is the human being that is empowering the students to learn mathematics. And so if we have a mechanism to sort of evaluate the quality of implementation, you can imagine, for example, the number of small group set-aside instructional time that is run through. That's a way of evaluating implementation quality. Another way of evaluating implementation quality is have the teachers receive the actual training in the summer and then in a small group on an ongoing basis. That can all be monitored by the blended learning systems to determine implementation fidelity.
As it relates to this particular program, do you foresee trying to target this in D&F schools?
No, I don't, and I'll tell you why. What we would want is we'd want a commitment to implementation from the district, period. That's because you don't want to just throw something, especially if it's not part of your turnaround plan. It's got to be a thoughtful initiative that the district is behind. And so as we evaluate the use of grant money for this, to give the grants to the districts, we would be evaluating the quality of the district's implementation plan and commitment to implementation.
And last, you would agree with me, hopefully, comma, exclamation mark.
Objection leading the witness.
Well, in terms of a district that has a turnaround plan, this could be a tool that they could utilize.
I believe so, especially if the area of weak performance is in mathematics.
Okay. All right, thank you.
If I could,
Chairman Taylor?
and the idea of a math innovation zone is to make sure this stuff works, roll it out there, and very well it could be utilized in the DNF schools once we've got it out there, rolled out, got all the bumps smoothed out, and really figure out how to make it work the best. And that's why you have an innovation zone, is to model this and
Experiment.
pilot it out there, get it working, and then very well. Obviously, math is one of the things we have to do better on.
Yeah, and I agree with Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I agree with
Dr.
you.
West?
I agree with you. I just like to see it, and again, it gets down to what the districts want to do.
That's right.
And as I've said in the past, depending upon what the district trustees decide, as relates to these schools, it impacts the rating. It would be great to see, assuming that you have a district's agreement to buy off on the programs, that you have these at different types of schools.
I
within
think
the
we'll
district.
see that.
Just
and
be able to see exactly how they work.
because it's certainly conceivable that you might see a campus profile, a particular type of campus that this sort of duck takes to water, and a different kind of campus this is less effective at. We'll see that within probably the first 3 years of rollout, if there are any noticeable
3 years.
trends in efficacy related to campus type.
You're going to be here for 3 years, right?
So we're not promised another day, but my intention is to
Good
be here
Lord,
as long
well,
as
the
we
creek
can go
don't
less
rise.
days.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And the only reason I'm asking that, because out of all due respect to you, because I've been knowing you for a long time, we have commissioners come and go, and they come up with great programs, and then they're gone. And the programs wane, even after we put a bunch of resources into it. Commissioner. Okay, so.
Well, I moved my family down here and bought a house in Austin, which apparently I've learned is quite pricey.
There's a property tax angle you've missed.
I've just looked at the property tax. Yes, so I'm committed.
We appreciate you.
Not just involved, you're committed.
I'm committed. In the story of the ham and eggs, I'm big.
You got it, all right.
Commissioner, we appreciate your commitment, we really do. And Secretary Van Taylor,
See, I told you about the big guns.
any other questions, members, for our commissioner? Thank you very kindly, Commissioner.
Thank you.
We do